Greetings from India. I am Dr. Jagannath Malik from State Bank Institute of Leadership, State Bank of India. First of all, I am very thankful to the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to present in this prestigious international conference in Japan through virtual mode. In fact, I had made a presentation in 2016 in Sapporo in Hokkaido. So this is my second presentation in this conference. Coming back to presentation, as you see, the topic is on globalization, productivity, and labor share in India, China, and Japan. The scheme of presentation is as follows: objectives, trends, and patterns of global economic integration, patterns of labor share and their causes, empirical framework, methods and data, empirical results, and conclusions. Well, we know that there has been a declining trend of labor share in the emerging countries and also advanced countries and global economy. And there is the rising trend in the degree of global economic integration in the emerging countries and advanced countries as well as global economy. At the same time, there is a rising degree of competitiveness or productivity in the emerging economies. Hence, we are asking two important questions. These are how globalization and competitiveness affect labor income share at the aggregated level in the developing countries like India and China, and also compared to the most advanced and developed country like Japan, and also how globalization and competitiveness affect the labor share at the disaggregated industry level. About the trends of global economic integration, as you see, there has been a significant positive growth of the trade openness index as well as the financial openness index. That means the India economy as well as China, they have been significantly integrating with the rest of the world. And you see that the degree of openness as well, and that is the economic integration in China, that is significantly higher than that of India. However, in the recent past, the fluctuations that is due to the global financial crisis. If we see this, the trends of export and import, it will be bit clear that we see that the trade openness of China is significantly higher than that of India, as you see in terms of export and import. And the important feature is that the trade deficit is widening in case of India. In that case, trade surplus is also widening in case of China. The disaggregated industries, we have taken data from India claims dataset, which gives data for 27 industries, and then we merged with the OECD, the TIVA, Trade and Value Added Database of OECD, that gives data for about 70 industries. So we constructed one concurrence table for the 27 claims in 27 industries claims with these 70 industries of OECD trade and value added data, and then clubbed them into 8 broad industries. They are agriculture and consumer goods, intermediate goods, investment goods, and the rest of industries. And among the market services, it is ICT intensive services and ICT non-intensive services, and the market services and non-market services. Well, so this is by using this data set, this is the patterns of export and import of India. That means this is the industrial share in the total exports in India and total imports in the period from 1995 to 2015. As you see that the manufacturing export share of manufacturing sector, it is consistent, whereas consumer goods sector, it is declining, and investment goods, that is increasing, whereas intermediate goods, the share also export share is also increasing. It shows that the India has been participating, increasing its participation in forward global value chains and non-market services, the export share has been declining, whereas in case of ICT intensive services, the export share has been increasing. About imports, that is manufacturing sector, it is increasing, whereas consumer goods, that is also increasing, and intermediate goods, that is bit consistent. In case of investment goods, the import has been rising, and market services, the import share has been declining. In case of ICT intensive services, the import share has also increased. About China, we have taken data from CIP, China Industrial Productive Database, which gives data for 37 industries. Again, we made a concordance table with the 27 industries of claims. So by using this data set, this is the patterns of export and import of China. It shows that the manufacturing share in total export China has been increasing and is consistent from 2005 to 2015, while in case of consumer goods, the export share has been declining, and investment goods, it is increasing, and intermediate goods, this is increasing. Like India, China is also participating in the forward global value chains. And as regards to imports, manufacturing imports has been declining, whereas intermediate product goods, that is it's consistent, it's very low, and consumer goods, that's declining. And about non-market services, the import is increasing. In case of non-ICT intensive services, the import share has been increasing. Well, so about patterns of labor share. So labor share, this is the part of income that goes to labor. That means the total national income, that includes labor income and capital income. So labor share plus capital share would be equal to 1. So labor share can be written as the ratio of wage to labor productivity. That means the gap between the wage and labor productivity that determines the trend of labor share. At the same time, the rising capital income that changes the composition of income, leading to change in the labor share. Well, so this is the productivity and labor share at the aggregate level in India, and there is two vertical axes. One is the primary axis and the secondary axis. The labor share that is represented in the secondary axis, we show that there is significant declining trend from starting from 1982 up to 2016. And then in that case, the other factors variables like capital income index and labor input index, wage index, and labor productivity index, though there is positive trend. In case of capital income index, it has been growing significantly, and it's very that is significantly higher than that of the labor input index and wage index and labor productivity index. That means the declining labor share is due to mainly the significant growth of capital income. At the same time, there is a gap between wage and labor productivity. That these two factors, they explain the declining labor share in India. As regards to China, as you see, there is the labor share is consistent from 1982 up to 1992. After that, there is fluctuations, which could be due to the wage policies of China. At the same time, the significant rise in capital income growth, that also attribute to the fluctuation in labor share. So this is the main differences about the disaggregate level industries. And in case of India, except non-market services and agriculture, all other sectors, all the other 6 industries, there has been declining labor income in these periods. So what explains, which are factors explains? As I mentioned, the trend of labor share can be driven by the growth of labor input or employment level, and wage growth, labor productivity, and capital income growth. In case of India, in the majority of these industries, that is the trend of labor share is mainly driven by the capital income index, the significant high growth of capital income. At the same time, also there is gap between wage rate, growth of wage rate, and the labor productivity. In case of China, This is except non-market services and ICT intensive services and market services. All the other sectors there has been a positive trend of labor share. So what are the factors explains? Mainly the rising capital income that explain the trend of labor share in these various industries during this period. So this is mainly the capital income growth that explain such fluctuations or such trend or pattern of labor share and across the various industries in China. Well, structural change that also affects the labor share. That means the structural change is expected to affect the labor share through compositional effect of labor towards above average labor share, which lead to increase in labor share. And the labor share can be decomposed into within effect and between effect as it is done in OECD paper 2012. So we are classifying the entire time period into 1980 to 1995, then 1995 to 2005, then 2005 to 2010, and 2010 to 2015 to decompose the change in labor share into within effect and between effect. As you see, in case of India, the main component of change in labor share, that is the within effect, which is driven by the, like, it could be the wage growth, it could be productivity growth, it could be capital income growth. Where in case of China, it is in the up to 2005, the the drivers of change in labor share, that is the between effect. This is very interesting in case of China. While after 2005, again this is the within effect only that that drives the change in the labor share. That's the major component of level change in the labor share. Well, for the empirical analysis, this is the empirical framework we have used, that is to analyze the impact of global economic integration, which is represented by trade integration and financial integration, and also the impact of productivity by controlling various factors like capital intensity, human capital, and industrial structure. Without taking much time, let's move to the specification of to estimate the model, that is labor income share, that is specified as the function of economic integration, capital intensity, then the productivity is represented by total factor productivity, human capital, that is welfare expenditure, and industrial structure. About methods and data, I don't want to take so much time. This is very standard. We are using for the aggregate level analysis. We are using Airedale time series approach, that is autoregressive distributed lag approach. These are the basic models. Also, I don't want to take much time in that. Where for the disaggregate level analysis, we're using panel data. Actually, the limitation in the panel data is that the classical panel methods is that this method allows only the intersects to differ across the cross section, where slope remains homogeneous, which is often inappropriate, as pointed out by Pessaran Smith and Pessaran Sin. So the Pessaran et al. They developed the two methods. One is a mean group estimator, other one is full mean group estimator to tackle this kind of issues. And out of these two, the appropriate model to be chosen by the Hausmann test and test as suggested by Pessaran. Well, so what is MG estimator? That is also very standard, that MG estimator relies on estimating n time series regression and averaging the coefficient, while PMG estimator relies on combining pooling the all the coefficients, and as explained in Pessaran et al. 1997 and 1999. Well, so this is the data for the aggregate analysis. This is mainly data is taken from Penwalt table and KOF database, and also APO, Asian Productive Organizations. And this is the empirical result by using all this data and methods. The independent variables are global economic integration represented by the trade openness and financial openness, and productivity is represented by total factor productivity, and then we are controlling capital intensity, human capital, and and welfare expenditure and industrial share. By using this, we are using, as mentioned, Airtel method, and the model is specified. The lags are chosen by using information criteria, and the co-integration is detected through abstract values of Pesaran et al. Whereas for the validity of specified model are are tested by using various diagnostic tactics. Well, this is the result of the aggregate level analysis for India, China, and Japan. Here we have included Japan as a developed country to compare the experiences and the results from India and China with Japan within Asia. Well, let me interpret all the coefficients. As we see that total factor productivity is significant, that is negatively affecting labor share in India, China, as well as in Japan, and capital intensity that is affecting positively in the emerging countries like India, China, whereas negative in Japan. And trade openness, it is affecting negatively in India, China, as well as Japan. This is through productive channels, it affecting negatively, adversely to the labor share in these countries. And then financial index, that is affecting negatively and significant uh, to in India, and in China and Japan it is not significant. Whereas human capital, that doesn't have any impact either in India or China or in Japan. Welfare expenditure also not significant. Industrial structure, that is negative and significant in India, while it is not significant in case of China and Japan. Well, so this is about the result of aggregate economic analysis, and that the main we are interested in long run result, and the short run result this more or less is aligned with this long run coefficient and their signs. So let's move to the disaggregated analysis. That this we have taken again, we have taken data from the iClaims, Indian claims data of Reserve Bank of India, then CIP, as I mentioned, Chinese Industrial Productive Database, and JIP, Japan Industrial Productive Database, and also TIVA database of OECD. So by using all this data for all the mentioned variables, so we are analyzing the disaggregated industries to estimate the impact of global economic integration on productivity on labor share. So this is the result, that here we have independent variables, that is global economic integration is represented by trade openness, and as we don't have financial openness index at the sector level, so we are using only trade openness. At the same time also we are adding another variable, that is backward GBCs or offshore, to represent the impact of global economic integration on labor share, and control, and also TFP we are including, and controlling capital intensity and economic structure. These are two variables we are controlling in these models for India, China, and Japan. And the results show that trade is negative as significant, offshore is negative and significant in case of India, while it is not in case of China and Japan. And productivity represented by TFP, that is negative and significant in all these three countries, and capital intensity, that is positive in all these three countries. Economic structure also, it is negative in the emerging countries like India and China, where it is not significant in case of Japan. Well, our results are aligned with some existing studies, like suppose MIT, that show that the impact of trade is negative on the labor share, and along with productivity effect, it affects through affects among that is trade openness, that is as it weakens the bargaining power of workers and reduce labor share. And trade, like other studies like Asan and Mitra, they found that trade has positive impact in the small and average labor intensive farms, and but it is negative in case of larger and less labor intensive farms. And capital intensity is negative in the organized manufacturing sector, and while it is positive if we include all the sectors in analysis as in MIT. Well, so to conclude my presentation, The preliminary analysis highlighted the declining trend of labor share in India as it is due to the wage rate has not been able to grow with labor productivity growth and also a higher growth of capital income. In case of China, the latter one, that is the mainly the higher capital income growth, that determines the patterns and patterns and trends of labor share. The empirical analysis point to a dominant role of technology change and global economic integration in determining labor share. The disaggregated industrial level analysis also found TFP, openness, and offshore, that is the backward GVCs, affect the labor share negatively, whereas the broad conclusion in case of the China also remains same. So policies should support workers in dealing with disruptions due to technological progress and global economic integration, mainly through improving human capital, promoting skills and skill upgradation. Well, thank you so much.